Hey guys, Omar here, broker and CEO of Alden Mortgage and Ome Realty. So Apple and Facebook, they're going nuts. Now I know this is kind of like an old story, but the story doesn't tell how it affects businesses that rely heavily on Facebook. So what's really happening is that Apple is putting in these privacy options for people to go ahead and opt in or opt out of information that they're sharing, which Facebook relies really heavily on because they have something called targeting ad. Because if you put up an ad, you don't want your ad just to go to everybody. You want people to see your ad that are associated with what they're searching. Like for instance, you don't want to send your butcher shop ad to somebody that's searching about veganism or vegan, whatever it is. You don't want that to happen. So Facebook is now pissed because obviously they should be. I mean, it's going to ruin their business model. Like it could potentially like really affect them because 55% of all smartphone users are Apple products. Now that Apple has put in this opt-in and opt-out to secure and keep your information as private as they possibly can, Facebook is, I don't remember exactly the date, don't mark me on this, but they are now filing a lawsuit against Apple. So Facebook is getting ready to go head-to-head with Apple against antitrust law, right? So that's what their whole thing is they're saying that Apple is... So it's allegedly saying that the lawsuit is that Apple is abusing their power. They're abusing their power to third-party developers. Third-party developers like your Facebooks and, Twitters and whatever else, right? That Apple branded products are going to take a precedence over them, and the third-party app developers are... Facebook is saying that Apple is using their platform to monopolize their own app store. So they're giving their own app store that Apple develops, they're requiring them to do an in-app payment service rather than using their own. So why am I talking about this, and why does this even matter to any of us? Well, I'm a real estate and mortgage broker. Targeting ad is super important to any one of us, right? Targeting ad, I mean, unless you go to Google, because Google doesn't care. They're by far like everybody else is here, but then Google is way up here. But if you are a Facebook targeting ad, this affects you because now you don't have the ability to go ahead and target the type of people that you want your ad to go to. For instance, you can't be an owner of, let's say, a butcher shop and then your ads go out to vegans. That doesn't make any sense. You want your ad to go to people you want your ads to go to exactly who they're intended to go, for people who are looking at other things in the butcher market. I don't know, buying and selling meat. I don't eat meat, so I wouldn't know. But in real estate, that is a really big thing, especially for the heavy users on the Facebook side. Now, if you rely heavily on targeting ad, like let's say for instance, you want to target people in your 15, 20, 30 mile radius that search only real estate, well, Facebook is no longer going to be a place for you because 55% of all smartphone users are all Apple devices. So if you're taking 55% of all of those, what is the long-term effect? The long-term effect is just probably going to be Facebook it's going to hurt their underlying marks. They're feeling it right now, and they know that this is going to be a really big hit on their business model, because Facebook's business model is very heavy on Facebook is really heavy on using cookies to integrate their targeting ads. So for instance, if you go into a realtor.com website, then all of a sudden you'll get a bunch of different mortgaging ads. You'll start getting a bunch of different real estate ads, listings that come up, because that is what you are predominantly searching. You'll notice that if you went and shopped for some sneakers, you all of a sudden start getting a bunch of ads for sneakers. Now, if we don't know where those ads are going, then it's kind of like a free-for-all. For instance, if you have an Apple phone, you have the ability to go ahead and opt in or opt out of what you share. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm probably going to opt out. I'm going to say, no, I don't want to share anything out of Apple is kind of putting all these other third party people on kind of like a little bit of a choke. So now what's Facebook doing now? Facebook is they're gearing up to file an antitrust lawsuit against Apple, that they're saying that they're using their all of those potential customers out of the equation. You're going to end up trying to find another route. You're going to go to Google, you're going to use Apple's servicing. You're going to try to find another way around it. So how is this all going to play out? We'll kind of wait and see how much Apple and Facebook butt heads on this, or how many third-party developers are actually going to come in on this lawsuit and say, hey, listen, Apple is not acting as a free market. They're not acting competitively. They're just trying to corner their market and trying to do everything all on their own, and they are not being fair because they're charging nothing for theirs and they're charging a bunch for us. So let's kind of see how this plays out. And if Apple does end up, if they actually do follow through with this lawsuit and Apple does end up winning, where do you end up going? Are you going to start preparing now of what other platforms you're going to be marketing to? Are you going to try to do your own marketing in a different way? It's time to get a little creative, because you can't ever rely on just one source. You have to always rely on a bunch of different sources. So let's see how this all plays out. Until next video, guys. Thanks for watching.